Hello and welcome to another camera review. Today we are going to be looking at some of the new lenses that will be coming out in Leica's SL series. As you may know, Leica's SL series contains various lenses that are zoom lenses between the 24 to 90 and 90 to 280 millimeters that came out along with the original camera, which is the Leica SL camera. Now, when it was announced, it had some of the best features in the market and was going to topple some of the major brands that were in the market, for example, Nikon and Canon, because these lenses that were produced had very good sharpness, they had very good image quality, yet there were not a lot of lenses that could be used with the Leica SL. Now, when the lenses came out along with the camera, there were announcements and expectations of the future lenses that would be followed up with the Leica SL series. Now, this year in 2017, there are going to be about 5 lenses that will be announced, and those announcements have already been made, but I want to discuss what these lenses are going to do and how they're going to fill some of the voids that were in the Leica's SL lineup. And then we're going to talk about the future lenses that will be coming out in 2018. Now, I know there are a lot of lenses that we are going to be talking about, but basically what is important about these lenses are their new design. Now, Leica has been in the market for a long time. They are known as one of the best companies for lenses, and especially if you look at their cinema line like the Summilux and Summicron Cs, they are very popular and they're very expensive. But what has happened is they wanted to bring competition where the mirrorless camera section of their branding was designed to compete with some of the better cameras in the market. Namely, we are talking about Nikon's D5 or Canon's 1DX Mark II. So what we had is they had a very special 4K recording capabilities, had high frame rates. It was a 24 megapixel camera. And what has happened is that a lot of people wanted to buy these cameras, but their hesitation was there were not enough lenses out there. And a lot of people had the hesitation that if they already own Nikon and Canon lenses, they will not be able to adapt these lenses to the new body that was in the Leica SL body and have the autofocus and various other functions function. So what has happened is Leica SL has been kind of slow in demand and has been losing market share as far as, considering how many new cameras have come out since then, especially Sony's A9. So what has happened is that Leica has announced already that they are going to be bringing out 5 different lenses. Namely, they're going to be a 35 millimeter, there's going to be a 75 millimeter, a 90 millimeter, a 1635 millimeter. They have already announced the 50 millimeter Summilux. So the Summilux one, which is a f1.4, is a spectacular lens with 11 elements in 9 groups, and it is a very, very good in capturing great images. Now, what has happened is Leica changed their game plan for these new lenses. And what has happened is this. They were producing lenses in the old classical traditional way, but what has happened is they placed new equipment, new measuring techniques, computer-aided design and measuring and modeling systems that has allowed it to be more refined and have closer tolerance, increasing the sharpness as well as the contrast within these lenses. Now, these new series of lenses are not exclusively for Leica SL. They have also produced, for example, Leica M Apo lens at 50 millimeter, which sells about almost $8,000. So what we're looking at is a very expensive lens for an M series that rivals the Noctilux, which is 0.95 at 50 millimeter. But we are also seeing these new lenses that are going to be the Summicron lenses. Summicron lenses in Leica series is the f2 lenses. So what does that mean? f2 means that it's not going to be as fast as some of the lenses that are already in the market from Nikon and Canon. As you may know, Nikon, Canon, and Sony all have lenses at f1.4. So how is Leica going to be competing with these other lenses that are in the market and be able to capture some new customers and clients who will be using these lenses. First of all, this has been mentioned in the interview with Peter Karp, who's the designer of these lenses, that these lenses have extra sharpness. It has a better fall off from the in-focus to out-of-focus area, creating that 3D pop. So what is in effect is happening, as he has put it, is that we are getting f1.4 depth of field while we are using f2. So it is going to give that additional advantage of sharpness. It's going to give you that beautiful curvature that is going to give these images some depth of focus that is very distinctive, that has been ultra refined. And also what we are going to have is a reduction in chromatic aberration, vignetting, and various other issues that have been plaguing other lenses in the market. So for one, it is a very well constructed lens. It has splash proof, it has dust proof, and it is a heavy lens. Of course, all these lenses, whether it's 35mm, 75mm, or the 90mm, all have similar front threads. It has similar dimensions. So it makes it easier from a cinematic point of view to be able to use these lenses, for example, with a matte box. Also, having them in the similar sizes makes it easier to, for example, adjust it if you are having follow focus placed on these lenses. Furthermore, when you look at the structure of these lenses, they all share similar elements, similar design, giving it a very good look. Beyond that, if you look into the internals of it, it's a Stepler system or linear focusing system. What has happened is that they didn't put supersonic systems because they are not as accurate when you're using with the Leica SL. It has a contrast-based system, so that means they wanted to have a lens that was accurate, it was also sharp, so they made certain adjustments to make these lenses function very well with the Leica SL. As you may know, Leica SL has 4K DCI capabilities, which is the cinema standard. As you may know, other cameras, like for example, the ones like the GH4 or other ones from for example, Canon's Mark IV 5D, all has qualities that is not as on par as the 4096 by 2160. So what has happened is they have adjusted these cameras settings so that it is already set to function very well for the filming. Also, another thing, Leica SL, it has already built-in or baked-in correction for each lens. So when the lens is connected to the camera body, it is already making adjustments. So when you take a photograph, for example, distortion is adjusted, chromatic aberration is removed. So when it is recorded, it's already worked for you, so that when you take it to Lightroom or Photoshop, you have less work to do. But what's most important about this development is that when it is already baked in for filming, then you don't have to worry about removing chromatic aberration and distortion from the post-production, which is very, very difficult, almost impossible to do when you have it already in there. So this is giving a major advantage for anyone who's into filming. Of course, there is a lot of other issues that I have discussed with the Leica SL. For example, you have issues with some of the lenses being slow and having, for example, jello effect, and these things that have been in the camera will probably be resolved in the next coming up camera, which is going to be Leica SL2 version or the Mark II version. But right now, as a camera, Leica SL performs incredibly well. These lenses are going to support that line. Now, of course, a lot of people have mentioned to me they are very expensive. Yes, they are an investment from a professional point of view. They're going to cost at least twice the price of, for example, Nikon or Canon equivalent. So we're going to have, for example, if you're looking at the 50mm, the 50mm on the Leica side is going to be more. But that is to be expected because Leica delivers better quality overall in the optics and the design of their lenses. Beyond that, if you look at the specs of the Leica SL, it's still a very competitive camera when you compare it to Sony A9. And personally, investing in a camera is investing into a system. So the ecosystem that was missing there is now being placed in there. Now, some people have complained that 24-70 or 70 to 200 millimeter lenses are still not available from the Leica SL. Well, Leica SL has done the 24 to 90 millimeters, but they had a variable aperture, so they have f2.8 to f4, which is not what the professionals want. Professionals want the f2.8 constant aperture. Now, there's been talk about why Leica hasn't come up with a lens, and their excuse is that it will be too heavy. Now, I don't believe that is the issue. It should not be the issue, because if you look at the lenses coming out from Sony, Zeiss, or any other manufacturer, they are of decent size, decent weight, so the optics can be matched to provide that a constant f-stop. Beyond that, I think people are also resisting the fact that having a 90 to 280 millimeter kind of focal length is not what we are used to. We want to have something that is, of course, constant aperture, again going from f2.8 all the way to the focal range. What we are seeing with the Leica SL 90 to 280 millimeter is that they have a variable aperture, again, f2.8 to f4, which is not what the market has been demanding. So I know that somewhere along the line, these things have to be resolved, these things have to be changed. And I know probably come down 3 to 4 years down the line, they will probably be introduced because this is what the market demands. Also, the Summicrons, they will be selling probably between $4,500 to $5,500 range, which is going to be more expensive than all the other lenses in the market. Now, would you want a Summilux? Of course, we all want a Summilux, but if they did not produce the Summicron series, there would be, of course, little incentive to introduce, for example, Summilux series into the market, which will mean it will kill the market for any potential buyer to upgrade. So having Summicrons is probably a marketing strategy, but it's a wise marketing strategy that allows consumers to purchase the Summicron, use it for a while, and then if they feel that there is a need to improve on the, for example, the bokeh or any of those concepts, then they can go and purchase the more expensive lens. Of course, do remember, when you go to Summilux, the price is probably going to jump up to $7,000 to $8,000 range, which is going to be rather expensive. So from a marketing strategy, seeing it and priced between $4,500 to $5,500 level is a marketing strategy that allows these lenses to be still affordable from an investment point of view. Otherwise, if you think about it, you can buy the Leica SL medium format cameras, and the Leica SL cameras will serve you for a while, but the Leica S cameras, which is the medium format cameras, will give you the option to be able to purchase their lenses between $7,000 to $10,000 range, of course, putting in a medium format bracket. So they need to make it somewhere between the high-end medium format and the medium level, which is the full frame. So it is a marketing strategy. It's a smart strategy. And I'm expecting Leica SL to be a player in the market within the next 2 years or to 3 years. Of course, what are missing? We are missing the 135 millimeter, which is absolutely essential. We're missing the 105 millimeter, which is absolutely essential for photographers who want to use portraitures. And portrait photography is very big for anybody who's doing wedding photography or event photography. This is what they use. And also, the event photographers, they want the 24 to 70 millimeter because they want to be able to capture images in low light circumstances. Again, having 24 megapixels is not the issue, because you look at the Nikons and Canons top of the line, they are between 20 to 24 megapixels, which is fine. What is the problem is having faster apertures, and that is going to be the key issue that will determine if Leica SL is going to be accepted by the market. Also, looking at the bottom of the range, the 24 millimeter is missing, possibly 20 millimeter is missing, 28 millimeter is missing. So these lenses are probably going to be introduced in 2018. So if you're expecting to purchase these lenses, you have to wait till next year, 2018, before you are able to put the whole package or whole line together. But as a professional, having 35, 50, 75 millimeter is going to serve most of your purposes. Now, there is a zoom lens between 16 35 millimeter that is available, And it is again, for heaven's sake, a variable aperture, f3.5 to f4.5. I do not understand why they cannot make a variable aperture thing a history, because all the camera companies, Nikon and Canon and everybody else that produces professional grade cameras, produces lenses that match it at f2.8, and that is the standard. If you go out of the standard, your f4.5 is not going to cut the grade. If you are going to do, for example, photography in low light situations and you want to have a wider angle, if your low light situation does not allow it, then you're not going to be able to capture the images as good. And if you have grain issues, you have noise, this is something that degrades the image quality. So it is essential for any camera manufacturer to consider providing 16 to 35 millimeter range at f2.8. This is the key. And if that is not there, people are not going to buy it. Personally, that's one thing that holds this camera's lineup back from being competitive in other markets. Sony A9 is going to have amazing lenses. They already have Sigma, they have already Zeiss that is producing lenses for that. And you can also adapt Canon's and Nikon lenses onto the body and be able to use it. Even the Canon's autofocus system works beautifully with Sony's A9. So what we are seeing is this Leica SL being the outcast, the lens that is only available for the Leica SL, and you cannot touch it with any other system, and that makes it kind of something that people shy away from. Of course, there are adapters that you can put and get, for example, Leica SL to work with some of the other lines of lenses from other companies, but that is not the most practical way of using this camera. I wish the prices were more reasonable, but they are never going to be reasonable because the pricing strategy for Leica SL is we are expensive, but we deliver good quality. So if you want it, you're gonna pay twice the price. That is the idea. But personally, as an investment, I don't mind making an investment in this category if my budget allows me to get these more expensive lenses. Because what is going to happen is that it's gonna deliver much better quality of images when I'm going to do, for example, photography in various circumstances, especially fashion shoots. You're going to want to have those natural skin tones. That is the reason why you're paying extra. That's why you don't mind paying that extra bit. And of course, having f2 and getting the image of f1.4 is the advantage that this lens has, because you want to have beautiful sharpness, beautiful 3D pop that these lenses deliver. So I hope this has been an informative review. If you have questions, please visit the section below. I'll answer your questions. And I will suggest that if you want to read up more about these lenses, see what they deliver, there is an article that I've written, which is on Camera Review's website. It's called camerareview.ca. Visit it. I'll provide a link in the description section below. So go and read it, see what you think about it. If you have comments, please drop me a line. I'll answer it. And of course, please, if you did like this channel's work, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and I'll see you next week. Thank you for watching.